prior to getting into anime, weren't you a vocalist?
Yeah, I did. I wasn't really an actor, or I hadn't really had any background in acting. I didn't do any voice work or anything, theater work, anything like that. I actually was a vocalist, and I was working at a law firm when I saw an ad for voiceover work. And basically, I just kind of went on a dare. So it wasn't like I honestly didn't even think it was real. I thought that it
Oh,
was probably like a scam or something. You know, I mean, we're in Houston, so you don't typically get that type of work here. So I really thought that it was not real. And you know, and then at that time, ADV was located in like a warehouse area district. And so I really thought it's probably not real.
right.
So I didn't expect to have work like that. But that's how it started, basically. I mean, it was just an ad in the paper, and I guess they were getting started as well. So they were trying to just find talent however they could. And then obviously later they started going through talent agencies as opposed to just newspaper calling.
Right. And didn't you just apply for it like a normal job interview, kind of?
Yep, pretty much filled out they had an application, and they asked for headshots, and they asked for a demo, and I didn't have either of those. I just kind of handed over the piece of paper with my name and address, and that was it. And so I again, I really thought this isn't gonna, and even if it was real, I didn't think I'd get called back. I interviewed, or actually I auditioned, I said interview, I auditioned for Matt Greenfield back when I first started. So I didn't know anything about him or anything about anime. I just kind of walked in, like, this will be interesting. And
Right.
so I got lucky.
And how much time did you have to wait before you got called in to voice Lina?
I didn't have to wait that long. I think maybe, well, I auditioned 2 Slayers. So I think that he was looking, well, obviously he was looking to cast Slayers. And I think he might have been on a deadline. I don't know, but it took maybe 3 weeks for him to call back. And we did Slayers, the motion picture. We did that. That was the first thing that I did. And I didn't know, I didn't realize that there had been a series before. I didn't know anything about that. So I didn't take the time to even study the character. I just went in cold and was like, okay, tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. So, and I really thought that in the middle of the show, I kept thinking that maybe he had cast the wrong person, and that he would realize that, a few hours in, and he kept me. So I figured I did okay.
Right. And were you, how did you really come up with the voice for Lina?
For Lina, I think that I went off of, well, somewhat the Japanese and somewhat just what I thought she was going to sound like. Yeah. I just kind of looked at her, and I seem to relate different characters with the voices, Yep. I mean, usually I'm cast as little girls or teenagers, but that's kind of what I did, is I just kind of looked at her. I listened to the Japanese. I try to imitate that, but my voice was a little bit higher. And then I think at that time, for the motion picture, it was that Lina was younger than in the series. So yep. I think that's probably what helped me, is that my voice was a little bit higher and a little more squeaky. So yeah, but I usually just listen to the Japanese and try to imitate the tone or the, the level of however high they are. Yeah. It just depends.
And did you kind of get more of a handle on, I don't know, how to voice her as you guys kept doing the movies?
I did, and I don't think that I don't think that I realized how big the anime world was or how big the anime industry was while recording or while doing the movie and while doing the OVAs. I didn't realize that. And then we recorded Nadesico after that. And I think that's when I started to see kind of the size of it, as I was looking through reviews and, you know, commentary and people saying, um, oh, we don't like her because of this, or we don't like her because of that. And I think that's when I started to realize, oh, wait, this is for real. Like, this is something serious. But I think that it still took a while for it to hit me and to be like, oh, okay, this is one of these characters that a lot of people love and a lot of people really like to watch. And it wasn't until, and this is going to be a long, long time, it wasn't until we did Slayer's
Premium.
Yeah, that I went back and started to watch some of the series, and I started to listen a little bit to Lisa Ortiz and how she did, you know. So it took me a while. But, you know, I was focusing on a lot of other things. I have the music stuff. I actually, you know, I work as a paralegal. So there were a lot of things that were involved in my life. I didn't just do voice work. I wasn't just in that industry. So I kind of had a lot of different things I had, you know. At that point, I had a little boy, and then, you know,
Right.
there was a lot going on. But so this was, to me, it was kind of like, you know, they'd call me in, I'd go in, do the voice, and then go home. You know, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into back then at the time. So it you know, I learned. Took me a while, but I learned.
Yeah. And I just think, I think with you having that be your first role, especially without having any prior experience, I mean, I just think that's incredible how well of a job you did voicing Lina.
Oh, you froze a little bit.
Oh, did you get most of that?
Yeah. For my first role, being Lina, yeah, I got really lucky with that one. I wish I had understood that, well, especially that character and that series, you know, because I didn't. And now, of course, you know, I can look back and think, wow, I got really lucky to voice her. I just didn't know it at the time.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you did incredible, especially for not having any background or acting experience. It seemed really natural for you to just slip into her personality and everything.
Yeah, well, thanks. And I think that maybe it was a kind of a typecasting without knowing, you know. I mean, she's very spunky and she's very, I think it just kind of let my, you know, I voiced her as kind of this little girl that had a lot of attitude. And
Right.
I think that she, to me, was really fun. I like that, you know, she gets mad at people and she just blows them up, you know.
Right.
And it was just kind of one of those things where you're thinking, oh, I wish I could do that to people in real life, you know. So then I just put myself in that position where I thought, yeah, that'd be cool if I could blow somebody up because they made me mad. But yeah, so to me it was a lot more, it was like a, you know, it's like a pretend game. And I think that when you're acting, that's what you're doing, you're just pretending. So most people, to me, I feel like anybody can act if you're just, all you're doing is pretending to be somebody else. And you kind of you look at that person, or you say, oh, this is what I think that person would be like. There's no right or wrong, really. You know, you just kind of follow what you believe that that person would do next, or that that's how they would react. And if you believe it, you can make it come to life. And so I don't know, it was a lot of fun for me, but it was a lot like playing make-believe.
Yep, right. And were you friends with Kelly Madison too?
I was not. I met Kelly actually. I don't really remember exactly when I got to meet Kelly. But you know, when we work, it's very much on your own. And so a lot of times you're scheduled and everybody's scattered. And so you're coming in, people are leaving, and you don't really see anybody. You don't really, and as people are coming in, even if you see them or run into them, you don't really know that that's the person.
Right.
Especially back then when we started, there wasn't a lot of the social media stuff. You know, now with social media, you can, oh, that's what that person looks like. But back then it wasn't like that. So if I did pass Kelly in the hall, I wouldn't have known, you know? So, but we didn't, I didn't know anybody, and didn't get to meet her. I believe the very first person I probably met, I want to say it was either Chris Patton or maybe Monica Rial. I don't remember meeting Kelly, you know, in the beginning. I think I met her a little bit later on, you know. Yeah, but I can't remember. It's been, man, I don't know, like 20 years. It's been a while.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, but I want to say that I met Chris Patton first because he was in the waiting room and he heard me signing. And so he came out and said, "Hey, you're my girlfriend," you know, and we'd been voicing a show, and I was kind of looking at him like, "What?" And I want to say that he was the first person that I met in any kind of voiceover, you know, voice work. So
yeah, I know that voice actors always record alone mostly. I just thought that since there was such a, you know, since you and Kelly were the leads, I just thought that maybe you guys would have known each other a little bit, or
No, not at all. It was all, you know, I mean, it's all we're trusting the direction of the producers, and we're trusting the direction of the writers. And I mean, they really do a good job, because there's times when I guess you think, you know, you don't know where they're going, and you don't watch the show before you record it, so you're just trusting that what's coming out of your mouth and what they're saying, that's good, that's actually good, and that it's going to go with the next line. And you know, I mean, a lot of times we just see the one line that we're reading, so we don't get to read the whole script. We don't get to see what comes up next. You just kind of trust that if they say, "Oh, you're sad," that you're gonna, you know, that you're sad, and that if they say, "Okay, yeah, that was good," that you're fine. So I mean, the gelling of all of that is definitely on them because we don't know, and we're recording separately. So so they, I mean, that's definitely all to their credit.
And was there more pressure with you in Slayer's Premium because you were you not supposed to do that? Wasn't it supposed to be Lisa?
I don't know. I think that was an industry thing, in that one company was supposed to do it, and then, you know, and ADV ended up getting it. I'm really not sure how that happened. I did know about the petition that was going around where, you know, people wanted Lisa to do the voice, and then some people wanted me to do the voice, and I totally understood it. You know, Lisa was the original Lina, and so it made sense that she would voice Slayer's Premium, just because. But from what I understood is, you know, Lisa's super talented and had gone off to do bigger, better things. And so I don't really know how all of that came about. I just know that I got called and I was told, okay, you're going to voice Slayer's Premium. And I actually did freak out a little bit, like, wait a minute, there's this whole movement, there's this whole thing on the internet, and people don't want me to voice it, and some people do. But I just felt that, it was a little, it did kind of, you know, it made you a little nervous, because now expectations are higher, and you know, you never want to disappoint the fans. You do the best that you can, but also knowing that once I listened to the voice that Lisa had used for Lina, and then my voice, and I thought, we are different, you know, and so it makes you a little bit nervous. And I listened to it, and I listened to it, and I listened to it, trying to think, okay, how can I come to a happy medium? You know, I wanted people to be happy. People love this character, and people love that show. And so I wanted people to be happy with it. At the end of the day, I think it was okay. I don't know.
And didn't you meet the other cast, like Crispin Freeman, and to kind of
Yes,
get a sense of,
I
yeah.
got to meet Crispin Freeman actually before we recorded because you know, the producer at the time felt that it was probably better for us to meet, and that way it would gel better once we were on screen. And I don't remember if we recorded some things together on this one. I'm really not sure. But yeah, we actually did meet prior to recording, and that was just simply because of the relationship that they had in the series. And so, you know, Sandra thought, yeah, it would be a great idea for you guys to meet, and that way the relationship shows, especially since he was coming from the original series and I wasn't, you know. So and that was a great way to do it. You know, a lot of the voice actors here in Houston and in Dallas, and the ones that I've met, people are pretty easygoing. So it's not really hard to meet somebody and get along with people, and to kind of, you know, we all know we have a job to do. We all love the craft, and so it's just it makes it really easy to just meet somebody and you gel and everything is great. Most of the voice actors I've met have been really easy, so it's not been hard to go into studio and, you know, and show that relationship. So, but that's what we did with Slayer's Premium. And I think, you know, it was a good idea for her to do it that way. And then also because we had to do the commentary.
Oh, yeah.
And so it helped with the commentary.
Right. And
yeah. And I think we did do that one together. So same, you know, same day, same time. So, and that was definitely helpful to actually have met before.
mm-hmm. And do you also remember when, like, what your reaction was when you first listened back, like watched it and listened back to yourself when you were voicing Lina? Like, are you proud of it?
I didn't. I mean, you know, you're critical. If I look back at Slayer's the movie and pull up other things that I've done after, yeah, you know, I am a little more critical because I can hear the inexperience now. You know, I can hear it. I can hear my hesitation. I can hear my uncertainties. I didn't realize my voice was that high. And I think that it goes even higher when I get nervous. And I think it went higher because I was nervous and I was there for the first time. So yeah, I realized, you know, you kind of pick up on things and then you're like, I really don't want to hear myself. I don't, you know, I'm not comfortable. But the only way that you learn how to fix the things that you're doing wrong is by listening to yourself, as uncomfortable as that may be. But you know, yeah, if I go back to the motion picture, I can hear the insecurities and the uncertainties and all of those things that I'm sure were there and that I hope are no longer there.
mm-hmm. I guess this is kind of in relation to anytime there's an emotional scene, but like in the scene in the first Slayers movie where she does the Dragon Slave against Joy Rock, and you know she's crying and she's really angry. Is there a specific thing that the directors make you do to get in that state?
No, you know, there isn't really a lot of time. I think you normally watch the scene one time and then you go. And I typically just watch her reactions and then go from there. So if she's, you know, really big, then I'm going to be really big. And then if she's hunched over, it's something that I think happens naturally because you know that, oh, I would sound like this when that happens. So I don't typically think of anything. I just kind of watch my character and see what they're doing next, and you know, watch their facial expressions, and I just think, you know, oh, it sounds like this, you know. So I don't know how that happens, but it's just I think it's like an instinct that you're like, oh yeah, it would sound like this. I don't know.
So when you moved on to work on Nadesico, did you approach that character very much differently?
I don't know that. Well, yeah, I approached her a little differently. She was a lot calmer. She was smart, and not that Lina wasn't smart, but she was more like the nerdy type. And so yeah, I approached her a little differently, but I don't think I think it was just, oh, I look different now, and so I changed in order to match that. There was no more blowing people up. It was more, you know, um, the nerdy side of it, and the more, contained. And she was very much like that. So yeah, I changed it a little bit, but not, you know, I just kind of toned it down.
Mhm. What about with this is probably moving ahead just slightly, but when like your role is Mayu and Elfen lead, but that's a really dark kind of emotional. I'm sure that was kind of difficult when that.
Mayu and Elfin lead, I think that I was not ready for that character. Usually, um, the producer, or I've experienced that they'll tell you, hey, this is this character, this is what happens. I didn't realize the trauma that was Mayu, and I think that when it hit me, I was actually scheduled to go to a convention in Oklahoma the same day that we recorded that scene
Oh,
where, her father, and it was just one of those really bad scenes. And I remember watching the scene prior to recording it, and I thought, I can't do this. Like, it really hit me. At that point, I had a daughter, and it just kind of, it really, it really kind of bothered me. And um, and a lot of people have asked about that, but it's one of those scenes where you don't forget, and
right.
it really traumatized me. I remember going to the airport, and I was flying out with Lucy Christian, and I was telling her about it, and I was like, I can't, like, it took me a minute to understand what was going on, and then to actually voice that, and to actually be okay with voicing.
Right.
And that was probably the hardest character that I played. And yeah, you don't expect that. You don't expect to get that. And there were a lot of layers to her, and I don't think that I was ready for it.
Mhm.
Thank God it wasn't one of the first shows that I voiced, but that would have really traumatized me. I wouldn't have come back. But um at the end of the day, you fall in love with her character because she's so tortured,
Right.
and you want the best for her. And I don't think I was expecting that much from her. I wasn't expecting what I got. And I think that, at this point, you just fall in love with her because of everything that happened.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you think you have a a preference for doing darker roles versus lighter roles?
I don't think that I have a preference. I think that both roles are good, and I think that both roles bring something out in you, and I think that both roles teach you something. I think that if I only had light character roles, you don't get an opportunity to develop,
Right.
to develop your craft, to develop what you're doing. So I appreciate having the dark roles as much as the light roles. Obviously, when you have a light role, you leave the studio feeling super happy and not traumatized like whenever you have a role like Maze. So yeah, I mean, I have fun in both of them, but definitely I think that you grow more from the darker roles.
Right.
So yeah.
And when you got, it seemed like listening back to the, because I had, for the first time in a really long time, I watched the dub again of
Yeah.
Puni Puni Poemy, and I mean, it seems as though that was probably really straining on your voice, just how energetic and crazy it was.
Yeah, that so when I got cast for that role, Matt Greenfield came out, and I think I was leaving I was leaving a session and I don't remember what I was recording, but he came out and he said, I have the perfect role for you. The minute I saw her, I thought of you. And I was like, oh, that's great. You know, like I didn't have to audition. This is perfect. And I went home and I Googled the show, and the first things that I read said, you have to be on crack to watch this show. And I thought, like, what the crap? What? So I kind of knew what to expect on that, but I did not realize how high energy that was. And I lost my voice actually after the first day of recording because you have the first scene where she's coming, you know, sliding down the rainbow, and she's super high energy and she's yelling and she's so excited. And I had never been that excited. And so Matt kept telling, okay, do that again, do that again, do that again, do that again. And after a while you're going, oh my gosh, like this character is going to kill me. But she didn't. And you know, at the end of the day, it was a lot of fun to do. It was just weird. That was the weirdest show I'd ever done. That's the weirdest show I'd ever done. But again, like you're grateful for the different, you know, different characters because you're thinking, wow, I really did that. And it was trying, but it was definitely fun. You know, it was fun it's fun to now think back or like look at it. And I remember even showing it to my sister and just playing the first part, and she was like, yeah, you gotta stop, I can't watch this. It was just a lot. She was a huge character, character. But people loved her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And wasn't that the first time that you would have met Lucy Christian too? Did you guys meet on that?
I actually knew Lucy. Well, no, take that back. Lucy and I were working on, was she working on that show with me? I just remember that I was recording Bastille Syndrome and I heard somebody say, Lucy Christian's in the hallway. And yeah, so that's right. So we were recording Poemy at that time. It was in December, and I remember I was in studio, and I heard somebody say Lucy Christian's in the hallway, and I was like, wait a minute, that's my girlfriend. You know, that's my lover, because in Puni Puni Poemy, she's my lover. And so I remember saying that, and the director was just like, what? Bring her in here. What's going on? And so that's where we actually met for the first time. And she hates that story, but that's just how it happened. So she would always tell me, please don't tell people that story. I'm just like, but that's what happened. We actually became really good friends after that. And, you know, now we still are very good friends. So, but yeah, I mean, that's usually how you meet people, right? Like you're just kind of by accident. And then we ended up doing quite a bit of conventions together and whatnot. And I love telling that story. It's a great story.
Mm-hmm. And then you had a pretty, sort of a main role with Princess Tutu.
Yeah, I really when Princess Tutu came up, I was really excited about that one. I just thought that was the cutest show. Like I said, I mean, I had a daughter at that point, and so I really just thought, oh, this is going to be great. It's a show she can watch, and
yep.
Then we both, we all auditioned, and Lucy ended up getting Princess Tutu, and so then she became my daughter's hero because she was Princess Tutu. But I love that show, and it was such a cute show, and it, that's definitely one of the shows that I held close to me, was Princess Tutu.
What I like about it too is that on the surface it does seem like it's something that's kind of meant more for children, but as it goes on, it gets way more dark and complex.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of times that's what happens with these shows. It's really interesting. They just kind of hit you with a twist, and you're going, I didn't know that's where we were going. But yeah, I mean, I've noticed that with a couple of shows that they just kind of all of a sudden start turning a little bit. And I guess they grab your attention one way and then it becomes something else, and whatever, it's all growth from there.
Mm-hmm. What about when another dark show that you were in was This Ugly Yet Beautiful World?
Yeah, I'm trying this. Oh, that's the one. I'm trying to remember. It's been so long. Look, I'm gonna pull this one up. Only because I think I know which one this is, and if that's the case, hang on. Yeah. That's the one where I was an alien.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I auditioned for that with Stephen Foster. I remember, you know, she lands and she's kind of confused and she doesn't know what's going on, and they're running to get to help her and everything. And she's super nice, or she seems like she's super nice. And then all of a sudden she switches, right? When no one's looking, she's like this evil person. So my audition for that one was really interesting because I auditioned on a scene where she's being really nice, and then she turns around and she becomes like this really evil witch. And Stephen asked me, how do you do that? How do you go from being super sweet and then turning into like this raging bitch? And I said, well, because you know, when you have kids and you're ordering at McDonald's and then the lady says, hey, can I help you? And you're like, yeah, I want 3 number ones, 2 number twos, you know, and you're being really nice. And then as soon as the lady goes away, you're like, you need to shut them up. You know, like at that point you turn into mom mode. I said, so this is easy for me. I can be really nice and then turn into super bitch mode. And so he was just like, oh, okay, well then I got, you know, this works. But yeah, I remember that because he was so like, how did you do that? You just went from like super nice and then you turn into this bitch. And I was like, yeah, it's easy. You just have to be a mom. So I think I get a lot of my things from that, you know, from the kids, from my kids, and just kind of I imitate them.
Yeah. And when you with Kino's journey, was that kind of difficult for you to figure out how to play a motorcycle, like how to come up with that voice?
Yeah, I don't. That was, I mean, yeah, you know, I got called in for that, and I had auditioned for Kino, and so when I got called in, I didn't realize that I was going to be the motorcycle. And you know, I don't even remember how. I remember them telling me, okay, just what do you think a motorcycle would sound like? Well, you know, you can't even think about what a motorcycle would sound like because they don't talk. So yeah. It was one of those testing moments where you're kind of like, well, is it going to have a deep voice? Is it a guy motorcycle? I mean, you know, you have all these, I had all these questions because that's typically how I work, is I didn't know if this is a male motorcycle, is it a female motorcycle? Do we know is it a moody motorcycle? And I have all these questions because on the show, the motorcycle doesn't, you know, it's not smiling. It's not, it has no facial expression. So I really didn't know what the crap I was supposed to do with that.
Yeah.
I ended up with whatever I ended up with on that voice. And I remember somebody said it sounded like Marge Simpson with a head cold. And I was like, I mean, I guess, I don't know. You know, I've never heard a motorcycle talk. I just kind of assumed that's what it sounded like. So yeah, I mean, it's hard when you walk in and they're like, oh, you're going to play a motorcycle. And you're like, I don't know what the hell a motorcycle sounds like. So yeah, that was interesting, but you know, we did what we could.
Right. And you also, at that same time too, you think you were one of the main characters in Kaleidostar?
Yeah. Yeah, I really did enjoy Kaleidostar a lot. I hated to see that it ended. I hated to think it was going to end. I think Sora and Lina were my, one of my most loved characters, but I think it's because I spent so much time with them. You know what I mean? Like, there's reasons why you fall in love with every character, but the longer you spend with one, the more you love them. And so, yeah, Sora was definitely one of my, best or closest characters because of how long the series went, and I just kept wanting it to go on forever, but it didn't. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but that was that was my girly show too. Like I would show all the kids that one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then yeah, going ahead a bit, Book of Bantora. That's a cool show.
Yeah. That was a cool show. I didn't, I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. But my character was a lot like me in that she just wanted everybody to do the right thing, and that was the thing, is like she just wanted everybody to do the right thing. And so I did like her character. She was spunky, she's gonna look for the answers, she wants the truth. And so yeah, that was, I didn't expect to enjoy that show as much as I did. I didn't want her to, when it was my time to go, it was really sad.
Right.
I didn't think that was going to happen, but, everything had to end.
This might be obvious too, but do you think that you're most attached to Lina as a character in terms of who you play?
I think I'm attached to, I would be attached to certain characters for different reasons. Obviously, Lina was the first character that I had, and there was a lot that I went through because of Lina, because of that show, because of the fans, because of the whole industry. I definitely learned a lot through that character, so yeah, definitely that's one of the characters. I feel like I got really lucky to be chosen to play her
Yeah.
so early in my career. And I feel that if it hadn't been, if I hadn't played her, if I'd played anybody else, I might not have learned as much as I did. It was kind of like a crash course, like, okay, here you go. And yeah, I was just kind of thrown in there. But at the same time, it was the best character to throw somebody into, even though, yeah, I can say like, man, the fans were rough. They were brutal on that show. But, I mean, what do you do? And you just kind of pick up and say, okay, well, I'll try better next time, or I'll do better next time. But I am grateful for that show and for that character.
Mm. Yeah, I remember the first time I saw it, I was probably too young to be watching it, but I got it from I still have my VHS of it that my mom got me at Suncoast back when those still existed.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never gotten rid of it, and I just when I started like instilling voice actors in my head, like that was always one of the main ones that I remembered were you and Kelly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Kelly's hard to forget with that laugh. So she did a great job with that laugh.
Right.
Yeah.
And then yeah, this was pretty recent. In all of the Fate series, you got to be Illya, the main character.
Oh, I was thinking, okay, yes. That was another series that I thought was going to be girly, and then it turned into something totally different that I wasn't ready for. It started off really cute, and she was really cute, and I just was thinking this is like bubblegum show, and then it all of a sudden I was like, wait, what? And I don't think anybody knew that it was headed that way. I think we were all kind of shocked when it happened. I think that I came in studio one day and it was like, yeah, this is gonna be different. You just wait. And I thought, what happened here? It just changed gears really fast. But yeah, it's the nature of the beast, I guess, with these things. Sometimes like they just change and you just have to be ready for it, and you just kind of have to jump in and say, okay, I'm here, let's do it. But yeah, I did not see that coming. Did not see that coming. So yeah, I was kind of worried that if it kept going, it was going to get worse and worse and
Yeah.
worse. So I was kind of, you have shows, and a lot of shows you just don't want them to end. You don't want them to end, and that show, even though I loved the beginning part, season 1 and the beginning part of it, after a while I was like, whoa, how much further can we go with this? So yeah, that one was a little much. She was cute though. She was cute.
Was your approach to that, was your approach to Ilya really any different, considering that the show changes so much, or did you really not know that until it got to that point?
No, I didn't know that until after that point. But
Okay.
no, you just kind of, even still, when you get to that point, you're just like, okay, let me get rid of that and continue with what I think Ilya's gonna do. So yeah, I don't think that, I don't think that it would have changed anything. And maybe that's why it's done that way, so that you don't know, and the innocence factor is still there, because in the beginning that's what that was, But I think it was fine. Just a shock, a little bit of shock.
And another series that same kind of thing happens that you were, I think one of the main characters in, was School Live.
On School Live, was that the zombie show?
Yeah, like where they.
I'm like trying to remember what.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember that's when all of the zombie movies were coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But I really don't. Oh, the only thing I remember on that one, even though that one was one of the more recent ones, was a little dog. Didn't I have a dog or something in that show? I found a little dog.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this one, I don't know. I'm not really. I don't know why I can't. I remember it, but I have like flashes of it.
Okay.
So yeah, we shouldn't talk about this one, because I'm trying to, like, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I know I remember, because I even did we even recorded a commercial or some kind of trailer for it, like a live thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. I have all these shows in my head, and some of them stick out and some of them don't. And right now I'm trying to think of which one this, but I remember the dog. I remember chasing a dog. Well, yeah, see, that's what, yeah. I don't remember. I do, but I don't. I'm looking at it.
It says the last thing that you were in that was a main role was Bang Dream.
Yeah, I'm trying to see.
That's like the girls in a band.
There you go. Oh yeah, hang on. I do remember that, because we actually had to sing on that one.
Yep.
Yeah, we actually had to sing, and that was interesting because, hang on. Because I want to see this. So that was interesting because you have, and I think that most of our voice actresses are pretty good vocalists as well. I don't know. It's just my perception of them and my, like, listening to how they act and how they speak. They all have these very I don't know, I don't even know what the word is, but when they sing, it's still very pretty, like they're like, you can tell that they have a pretty voice, that they're to me, I thought, well, this isn't going to be that hard, because everybody is talented and everybody has these great voices, and so this is going to be great. And I think that it was just a matter of, we're all singing, we're all recording separately, and so whenever it was time to record the singing part, if I was the first one to record, I kind of set the tone, but if I wasn't, then I had to kind of match the tone. And so that was a little bit of a test, but I don't think, it wasn't really that difficult, because like I said, there was no super difficult tone or anything to match. I mean, everybody's voice was pretty much gelling and meshing pretty well together. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do remember that. And that was a lot of fun because obviously, you know, my first love was always music. And so to me, that was one of those things where I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. Can I do more singing? But you know, you gotta follow the show, follow the show. Yeah.
What?
So, but yeah, that's it's, you know, it's been a while. I think one of my favorites was probably Voices of a Distant Star. That was another one that was one of my favorites. Was just the story was such a beautiful story and such a heartbreak story.
Yeah.
And you know, yeah, that I think to me that was a story that you actually could put yourself into. Like you could actually imagine, hey, this, not that, you know, this could actually happen, but it could happen. You know, you're in a different country, or you're somebody's in the military, or you know. So to me, that was one that I really loved. Just the whole storyline, you know, just
Yeah.
all of it. But, yeah, and I just saw that because I was pulling stuff up, so I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So yeah, but I mean, it's been a long time. You know, I think I believe I started, man, 19, I don't know, 1999 or something like that. So it's been a long time. And you know, like I said, I took a break. There was a long break there. They, you know, quit recording here, and then they started recording in Dallas. And um, my I've always had my job and then my music and then voiceover and then the kids. And so I didn't really dedicate myself full time to the industry. I kind of did it as, you know, if they needed me, okay, I'll be there. If they cast me, okay, I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
But I didn't dedicate myself to the craft. So yeah, I got lucky, you know, I got lucky to do it part time, and I got lucky that I got chosen for the things that I got chosen for. So
Right.
I feel like uh, I was really fortunate to do that or to get that.
Mhm. Well, that was what I always like to end my interviews with, asking people what they want their legacy to be.
Well, what do I want my legacy to be? You know, at this point in my life, I began I began voice acting when I was probably 22 years old, and I had a little boy. Um, and it was a lot of fun, and it was exciting. Um, at this point, I have 7 kids,
Wow.
and the the best thing for me is that, you know, when you have, we all have our moms, you don't, you know, you kind of look at your mom like, oh, that's just my mom. One of the coolest things that happened was when my son went to college, and he called me and said, can you send me a picture of yourself? And I was like, what? And he said, I'm at the anime club, and people don't believe that you're my mom. And so I
Oh.
thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then I said, no, I'm not going to send a picture of you. That's just crazy. But, you know, the thing is that I want people to remember, and I want to leave a legacy of helping and being kind and making people happy, you know. And I think that like through anime, that helped, or that helped me, because I ended up, you know, I met a lot of people, and I got to kind of put my, what I would call, you know, my good out there. And so I do feel really fortunate that I got cast a long time ago in that part, in that role, because it kind of set the tone for my adult life. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
the meeting of people, and you know, I I can say that in going to conventions throughout the years, you're not always in a good mood. You know, you're not always happy. There's not always good things happening in your life. You know, I went through being pregnant, having kids, being married, getting a divorce. I went through these whole life changes as I was in this industry. And, you know, the fans don't see that. The fans don't understand that. And you can't expect that. So even if you're having a shitty day, you have to remain kind and you have to remain helpful and understanding that they don't know that. So that was always my goal, is to not be rude even if I was having a shitty day, you know, and not cut people off. And so yeah, I think that that's what I would like to leave. I would like for people to know that that I was open enough, you know, to accept the praises or the whatever, you know, even the bad things. I mean, I accepted them and I tried to do better. But yeah, I think that that would be it. A long-winded way to say good and happy.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah. I'll be sure to send this to you once I get it uploaded to YouTube and stuff.
Perfect. All righty. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was happy to be the first person to ever do this with.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I do appreciate it.
Yeah. Bye.
All right.